Alright. It's been a while and a bit since a video went up. Since I made this video, this is the top 10 worst coasters I've ever written. I've written some pretty bad coasters. I like to think so. And like to think in the last almost year, a little more than a year since I did this, my opinion has changed on a lot of things. And my taste on coasters has changed. I may be over exaggerating a bit, but I like to think that. So let's start. Number 10, Green Lantern at Six Flags Great Adventure. I think this didn't make it last year for a multitude of reasons. Simply because of the fact that I genuinely forgot about it. I think that's why it made it this year. It's a forgettable ride, it's a stand-up coaster, and on top of that, it's a mirror image, sort of, kinda. It's like, the first half is up to the mid-course break run, is a mirror image of a ride that's coming up soon on this list. And the layout's just not that great. In my opinion, okay, if for a stand-up coaster, it is decent. But for like a looping coaster in general, no, this isn't it. Of course, the whole standing up on a coaster thing, after standing in what most likely is probably going to be like a 30 minutes to hour line, not for me. Not gonna lie. Speaking of mirror image, we have Rougarou. Now, I don't get people that like this ride. I don't understand. I don't get it. And it's just one of those things where, like, I have the same issue with Green Lantern that I have with Rougarou, in which the layout is decent for a stand-up coaster, not a floorless coaster. This should not be a floorless coaster layout. And on top of that, it is very rough, in my opinion. It's rough. It's not like the jerkiest thing, not like the transitions are jerky, but it's a very rough ride, in my opinion. I would rather ride Firebird over this thing, and I can't even give Firebird that much hate. I actually enjoy Firebird, but if I had to choose between riding Firebird and Rougarou, I'd ride Firebird because I could not stand Rougarou. Runaway Mine Train is up next. Here's the thing about this ride. I think the restraints and the train suck. I think it is a tad bit bumpy at times. I think the main issue is the train and the restraints. And I know, and then of course there's the layout, but for a mine train, it's not even that bad. Just think when you take into account the restraints, and if you sit on a wheel seat, it's horrendous. And me personally, we get on this ride most times when we go to Great Adventure, but I prefer to skip it because it isn't that good of a ride, and I don't really like mine trains all that much. So most mine trains I will skip. Roar at Six Flags America. This is a ride that just got worse and worse. What happened? This is a ride that got worse and worse for me. I first rode this in 2014. Good lord, that was 7 years ago. From the first time I rode it to now, it has just constantly gotten worse and worse. And I don't get it, because they don't even try to retract this thing. Like, there's just no point. It's just bad. Even if you put Timberliners on it, not Timberliners, Millennium Flyers on it, it's just not good. It'll be like another coaster that's on the list later. It has Millennium Flyers on a coaster that's already rough and boring. There's no point. Just RMC it. If not, win the world. If not, have GCI retrack it. Next up, as you could see earlier, is Anaconda at King's Dominion. Now, Anaconda is not even the roughest ride in the world. There is some headbanging, but it's not even the roughest ride in the world. It actually has some things going for it. It has the drop into the underwater tunnel, the first vertical loop, and the sidewinder. Everything after that sidewinder is boring, right? You go into the mid-course break run, make almost a complete stop, and then go through a whole bunch of random pointless helixes that give you no forces. There's no speed going through them. And then the corkscrews are bad because not only are you getting your head bangs around, but it's slow. And normally slow or the diversion is a good thing because you get hang time, but for some reason I didn't get hang time on it. And a ride with slow double corkscrew shouldn't even be like that. And that is why I have no desire to ride Anaconda again the next time I go to King's Dominion, which is probably soon. 5 is Kitty Hawk at Carowinds. Now I used to have this higher up. A certain ride bumped this down, and B, the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, this is a Vekoma hang and bang, right? And it's a kiddie coaster. And I think for a kiddie coaster, it's not even that bad. It's just very rough if you are bigger. I think that's the issue because it wasn't made for me. It wasn't. I think that's the primary reason why I didn't like it. It's not made for me. I'm bigger. I'm not a kid. The layout's boring, in my opinion. But even still, it's boring, but it's good as a kiddie coaster, if you know what I mean. Corkscrew at Cedar Point. And this is where we start getting to the rides that I just hate with a burning passion. Like, the rides before this, like, I hate a lot, but there are some redeeming qualities about them. Corkscrew at Cedar Point? No. It's not good. The first airtime hill, in my opinion, is painful. The entire ride is just a rough mess, a rough, pretty mess. Like, this is the best looking bad coaster, if you know what I mean. This is like a lot of movies. For example, in my opinion, okay, I hated Iron Man 3. I hated Thor: The Dark World. I hate the fact that those are the best looking bad movies. Go away. The best looking bad movies. It is what it is. And that's what I feel about Corkscrew. It's a headbanger and I don't like it. Next up, Wildcat, Hershey Park. Now, I have vowed to never ride this ride ever again. I have vowed to not touch this ride ever again. I have vowed to not look or think of this ride ever again. However, I am breaking my vows because I am looking at and thinking of this ride. It's horrendous. It's a wooden coaster from 96 should not be this rough. Should not be this jerky. GCI's first creation should not be this rough or jerky or boring. But that's exactly what they did. And that's exactly what this ride is. And guess what? It's rough, it's jerky, it's boring. Like, I don't know how else to say it. I will never get on this ride again. There are 2 other wooden coasters at the park that are way better. Comet's a great airtime machine. Has a really good airtime. And Lightning Racer is a lot of fun. Unlike a lot of people, I actually like Lightning Racer. And then they have this, and I'm just like, RMC it. Or rather, just scrap it. Because I'd actually rather see RMC Lightning Racer because how fun that could be. Like, that would be the Twist of Colossus of the East. And that would be great. Number 2, Mind Eraser, Six Flags America. The only Vekoma SLC I've been on. And a Vekoma SLC I will only ride one more time. For my little brother. It's the only reason why I will ride this again, because he doesn't have the credit yet. Other than that, it's not even like much of a you have to know how to ride thing, because you can know how to ride and still come off with a headache. And it's like the layout is good, but it's because this is old school Vekoma that the coaster ends up being bad. Like, you give this layout to B&M, and it would be a top tier coaster. But you gave this layout to Vekoma, and so therefore it sucks. The restraints are bad, unnecessarily bulky. The transitions are not great, and overall, it's just a bad ride. Number 1, Nighthawk at Carowinds. Now, I made this video primarily so I could go on more of a Nighthawk tangent, because Well, I have some stuff to say about this ride. Nighthawk at Carowinds. There is no reason why you should feel like you're about to fall out of the seat on a flying coaster. Now, I know, like, a lot of people will take that as, oh yeah, it's a flying coaster. You're hanging towards the ground. The natural fear of falling out of your seat. The issue being, that's the wrong type of falling out of your seat. I mean, falling out of your seat, falling out of your seat as in the ride is so jerky and shaky that you feel like you're going to fall out of your seat. Or the train is going to fall off the track into the body of water below it. Shouldn't be the case. It shouldn't be. For a flying coaster. I think that's what gives this ride number one, because it is a flying coaster and it's doing this. I love Batwing at Six Flags America. Albeit, it's never open. But I still love the ride. Like, and I know that, like, this, I think this was the first. If they had, gone with the original layout on this ride, instead of the corkscrews, it would have probably been lower. Because the corkscrews just make the ride worse. And I didn't get to ride Vortex. I'm almost positive that would have been on this list. But there's no way in the world that was going to be worse than Nighthawk, in my opinion. I think, as I already know what Vortex is bad, so I think they should just tear out both of them and get a new coaster. That's it for my list. I hope you enjoyed me going on a Nighthawk tangent, because I just can't be bothered with that ride. And yeah, I will see y'all next time. Goodbye.